Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to our Fairfield Friends meeting, and we fully expect that God's presence will be with us. And hi there on Zoom. Welcome to Zoom also. Remember to turn off your phones. It's good for the bandwidth as far as the Zoom meeting goes, and also good for your soul. Let's begin our worship with a worship in song number 43, Keep High the Father's Wintry Horde. I forgot to say who I am. I'm Rex Jones, otherwise known as the husband of Paula Cardoza Jones. So, my reflection today is on a topic that I'm really trying to incorporate in my life, somewhat intermittently, admittedly, but it's on mindfulness. And what started my journey on this was an awareness of my old age, and that my time was short. And what am I going to do with the rest of my life? Of course, I was always aware of my mortality, but there are moments in your life when you just realize something hits you, And one of those times was when I was watching a TV show, and they were interviewing veterans, and I saw these guys, and they were gray hairs and beards and pot bellies and stuff, and I thought, there I am. That's me. And then another incident was I was standing in front of a Walmart or something like that, and I heard a voice that said, "Hey, old man, hey, old man." And I looked around and realized he was talking to me. You know. I decided to really become more attentive to my life for whatever time is allotted me. And to foster this, I took a mindfulness class at Rodebush Veterans Hospital. And it was a wonderful experience. So what is mindfulness? Well, let me quote from the Mindfulness Veterans app. It means paying attention to the present moment without judgment. You become aware of the present moment, sensation, thought, or feeling without clinging to it, resisting it, or trying to change it. Like holding a butterfly resting in the palm of your hand until it moves away on its own. For me, it just became aware of the present moment, no matter what I'm doing or where I'm at. When I take walks, for example, I become aware of creation, its sounds, its colors, cloud movements in the sky. I become aware of my environment around me and how it affects me. Frequently, it expresses itself in gratitude. Well, what is the relationship between, say, mindfulness and meditation? Well, for me, mindfulness is a broader concept, while meditation is more of a formal practice. But certainly, mindfulness can lead to meditation, and meditation can lead to mindfulness, to become more aware of what one is experiencing in life. And for me, mindfulness causes me to tune in into what is happening in my life and what is going on around me. I become aware that I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing in the moment, and that centers my attention to the spirit that moves in me and in worship around me. So I now invite you into a time of mindfulness, which leads into focusing our thoughts and minds on the divine. And here's a quote to help us. It's from Germany, Kent. "It's a funny thing about life," she writes. "Once you begin to take notice of the things that you are grateful for, you begin to lose sight of the things that you lack." Now is the time for the sharing of announcements, and we'll start with our friends on Zoom. Does anybody have any announcements on Zoom? In the meeting house?
Minister and Council, I don't have my calendar. The Sunday before Thanksgiving, after worship, we will have a pancake lunch. It's a kind of an experiment to see how to put it together. So bear with us. It's just pancakes and maybe bacon. It's right after worship. It's donate what you will. It will go to the Friends Peace Efforts in Ukraine, that project that Jackson's working on. And I believe that's all. It wasn't in the calendar because I wasn't thinking that far ahead, but Snowflake Sunday will be the first Sunday in December, and we will have our Christmas dinner afterward, and the candlelight service will be the end of worship that day. So that's the big day.
Hi, this is Debbie Draper. And also to tag on to Ann's message, I'm speaking for the library committee, and we're going to have our book sale starting that day. So if anybody would like to donate books that they have and are ready to send on to future homes, please bring them anytime before that, and you can put them in the library. And we'll be setting up sometime during the week before. That is the 23rd, November 23rd. And also, we're going to leave that up, the book sale up for all the way through Christmas, and come ready to buy some. You might find some great treasures in there, donated by your Quaker neighbors. Thank you.
Hi, Jeff Gabbard. Just a reminder about the Concert for Democracy, December 12th. If you could, last week I created a Facebook event page. If you could, go to Fairfield's Facebook page, and if you're planning on attending, say so on that. Right now it says 16 people are coming to the concert. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more than that. But if you could do that, it would help us have a bit of a head count. And again, we have added a food drive to that for Hungry Hoosiers. And there is a link on our website that shows food items that would be good for that donation. So I think that's it.
Andy Horton, and I'm proud to also be the presiding clerk here at Fairfield, reminding all that on Sunday, a week from today, we will conduct our monthly meeting concerning business. That'll be around noon. So I encourage you to come and try one out. You might find that you're actually interested in some of the business that goes on there. I try to keep the meetings pretty short, but I also try to make sure that they're long enough that we get to hear all our concerns. So that's all.
Go on around. Sorry, Josiah, I'll make this one quick. This is Joanne Gulley, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Outreach Committee. Thank you. Thank you so much for all the food that you have donated. Steve Kirchhoff and Andy Pritchett are going to take a run down to Kunot either Monday or Tuesday of this week to deliver what we have, and I'm sure it will make a huge difference. So thank you so much. Turn.
Hi, my name's Josiah Hostetler. As part of my day job, I get to go around to different clinics and hospitals and see what all the health resources are around the state. I had the joy of visiting Daymar Health Services. You may know them because they've had a long-term group home facility here in the community. Well, they just started a federally qualified health center that's open to everyone in the community, and they are looking to build up their patient base. So I have some flyers here. They have an internal medicine doctor as well as a pediatrician there. So they cover everybody and have a full pharmacy in-house, so it's great.
Well, I'm Sarah Lookabill, and hopefully you kind of realize that every second Sunday of the month, I'm doing a Bicentennial Minute. So today, I thought I would talk about mother meetings. If you'll recall from the first time that I was up here, our mother meeting was Lick Branch in Paoli County, or in Orange County near Paoli. And Fairfield became very busy becoming a mother meeting for other local meetings. And we were founded in 1826. In 1827, we set off our first preparative meeting, and it was Landers Creek, which then became Easton. In 1827, we did Lick Creek, which was over by the airport, and that's the little cemetery that's in the corner of the other cemetery across the street, because those stones and graves had to be moved when the new runway was built and the new terminal and all that stuff. So that's Lick Creek. In 1832, we set off Richland, which is now Carmel Meeting. In 1834, Westfield. 1836, Indianapolis First Friends. 1852 was Bridgeport. 1855 was Indianapolis Second Friends. 1856 was Beech Grove, which became Valley Mills. And 1917 was West Newton. And West Newton and Valley Mills were together for a while, and then they split. So we set off 9 meetings, and sadly, only 4 of them, actually, I mean 5 of them are still meeting. But anyhow, one thing that happened when you had preparative meetings and you were the mother meeting, that membership counted in under your membership. So at one point, Fairfield had 915 members. And at the last time I was up here, I talked about doing memories and writing those down. There's a basket on the table that says Fairfield Memories. So if you have a memory that you want to share, and like I said at that point, even if you've only been here for one Sunday, you have a memory. God, I can't even talk this morning. You have a memory that you can share. And some of us have a lot more than one, but we'll try to limit it to 2 if possible. And the other thing is, if anybody is interested in helping with the bicentennial celebration, we could use help. The committee is very small at this point, and anybody who wants to, like if you want to be involved in updating the history book, or later on we're going to need people to help with meal planning and all that kind of stuff. But if anybody's interested in volunteering to help with this celebration, either let Sue or me know. Thank you.
Well, I want to make an announcement. I want to say we had some tech glitches last week, so this week we reached out to our local Amish community, and they sent us Lee and Andy to help with that. So guys, thank you very much. When you sat down, you noticed a little card in your bench. Those come to us compliments from Charlie Richardson, who had heard that quote and read it during a chat room presentation by Ann Tarvin. And it's a beautiful quote. Charlie wanted to summarize that on a piece of paper, cardstock, and also put the meeting's name on the back of it. So the purpose of that is to distribute it. We have others on the table in the greeting room. Take some. And when you meet someone who says, what do Quakers believe? Hand them that card. Or if you're in a public place that has a bulletin board, stick one up and get word out about what we're about here. So thank you, friends, and thank you, Charlie, for doing that.
Well, when led, Noah Kellum from Zoom will lead us in prayer.
Gracious and everlasting God, we come before you this morning with thankful hearts, grateful for your faithfulness and your constant presence in our lives. You've been with us through this week in our work and our rest, in moments of joy and in times of challenge. You have guided our steps, sustained our spirits, and reminded us again and again that we are never alone. How amazing you are, O God of all creation. As the seasons turn and we prepare for the coming winter and snow, we see your beauty written in the changing earth, in the crisp air, the falling leaves, and the quiet stillness that draws us inward. Even as nature rests and renews itself, may we also find rest in you, trusting that in every season, your love endures, your mercy is new, and your purpose continues. We lift before you our families, near and far. Bless our homes with peace, understanding, and unity. Where there is strain or misunderstanding, bring reconciliation. Where there is distance, restore closeness. And where there is love, may it deepen and endure. Help our families to thrive. O Lord, rooted in your grace and guided by your truth. We remember before you all who are struggling in this time, those who hunger, those who have no place to call home, and those affected by the ongoing shutdown who are uncertain about their next meal or paycheck. Provide for them, God of compassion, and move us to act as your hands and feet, sharing what we have and caring for those in need. We pray for the sick, those preparing to go to see their physicians, those in hospitals, those in nursing homes, and some in their homes, that your healing presence will surround them. Grant them comfort, strength, and assurance that you are near. Bless their caregivers with endurance, kindness, and peace of mind. We lift up our leaders, local, national, and global. Grant them wisdom that comes not from pride, but from humility. May they lead with justice, seek truth with courage, and act with compassion for the good of all people. And now, God, we pray for ourselves, your gathered people. Teach us to listen for your voice in the stillness, to walk humbly in your ways, and to act justly in all that we do. Keep our hearts open to the needs of others, and our spirits attuned to the movement of your light within and around us. As we go forth into a new week, may we carry your presence wherever we go, trusting that your love will guide our steps through every changing season. In the name of the one who is our light and our peace, we pray. Amen.
Well, I was sorting through a box of stuff that I had gotten from my dad after he died. My brother Doug went through all of Dad's and Mom's pictures and papers and distributed them in boxes to the siblings in light of our individual interests. And one of the things I came across was a picture of me holding a box, and in the box were pamphlets from 1974, when Richard Lugar first ran for the United States Senate against Birch Bayh and lost. During the campaign, my dad gave me that box of Richard Lugar pamphlets to distribute around the town, which became my after-school job, not job in the sense of getting paid for something, but job in the sense of dedication to a specified goal, which was to see Richard Lugar become a United States Senator. And I was hoping he would, so that then I could parlay that relationship into a political career for myself. I had this all planned out. My dad would always talk with my older brothers about sports, which I had no interest in. So he would talk with me about politics. I remember in 1980, I would have been 19, we were watching a speech by Jerry Falwell, the founder of the Moral Majority and the pastor of Thomas Road Baptist Church in Lynchburg, Virginia, who was extolling in his speech the virtues of the Republican Party and Ronald Reagan. When Falwell finished speaking, my dad said, "I like that man." I was 19 and admired my father, so I said, "I like him too." Think about that. The man who had founded the nation's largest Christian political lobbying movement, the Moral Majority, joining hands with the presidential candidate of a major American political party. What could possibly go wrong with that? Of course, I didn't think that at the time. At the time, I thought it was wonderful and divinely inspired. I thought it was God's ordained path and plan to national greatness. In time, I observed the harmful consequences when religious and political powers unite, especially if that religious power elevated the authority of men while diminishing the rights of women. And haven't you noticed, it almost always seems to do just that. I didn't know it at the time, but in addition to Jerry Falwell's talk about national greatness, he had also said, "I listen to feminists and all these radical gals. Most of them are failures. They've blown it. These women just need a man in the house. That's all they need. Most of the feminists need a man to tell them what time of day it is and to lead them home. And they blew it. And they're mad at all men. Feminists hate men. They're sexist. They hate men. That's their problem." That was Jerry Falwell of the United States. This is the Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini of Iran. It is better for a girl to marry in such a time when she would begin menstruating at her husband's house rather than her father's home. Any father marrying his daughter so young will have a permanent place in heaven. Do you see even a hint of daylight between the two? Whenever fundamentalist religion has gained even the slightest political power in a nation, has it ever ended well? For we have seen repeatedly that whenever religions and governments join, the virtues of religion seldom carry the day. We seldom see the expansion of compassion, the growth of tolerance, the widening of wisdom. Instead, the government is infected by the vices of that religion, the preoccupation with power, the tendency to shrink human rights and not expand them, the inclination toward autocracy and away from democracy, and the effort to control first our actions, and then our speech, and finally our thoughts. We've been talking these past several weeks about the characteristics of national greatness, the chief differences between flourishing and failing nations. And I want to say that in flourishing nations, there is a distinct and unbreachable wall between religion and government, so that the ideals of democracy are not corroded by the abuses of religion. It is no surprise that the greatest threats to our liberties in modern America have come at the hands of our fellow Christians who think it their sacred right to reduce our rights. In recent years, they have taken from women the right to reproduce or not. They have taken from black people the right to vote without encumbrance. They have taken from brown people the right to walk the streets in peace. And if we would let them, they would take away our right to protest the robbery of these rights. These religionists would declare an emergency to usurp our civil rights when the real emergency is the nullification of our democratic freedoms. Religion, at its best, expands human dignity. Religion, at its worst, narrows it, degrades it. And right now we are seeing the worst religion has to offer, not in some far-off land, but in our land. In our land. Because religion is too often predicated on certainty, those who are religious often confuse faith for fact. Convinced of their worldview, they seek to impose it not only on themselves, which is fine, but on us too, whether we wish to be imposed upon or not. They worship an all-powerful God, wish to create an all-powerful church in hopes of forming an all-powerful and authoritative government. But it comes always at the expense of human liberty and freedom. But if we raise a voice of challenge, if we protest, they perceive that to be a challenge of God, which they will never permit. So even as their voices increase, the voices for liberty decrease. It was Jerry Falwell who said the idea that religion and politics don't mix was invented by the devil to keep Christians from running their own country. Their own country. Not our country. Their country. And listen to the kind of country they want. When asked what should be done with atheists, Falwell said, "Kill them all in the name of the Lord." Jerry Falwell died in 2007, and these would otherwise be dated references if it weren't for the fact that the movement he began is as vigorous and dangerous as it has ever been. This past Friday, the Christians at the heart of our government asked for an emergency stay to Judge John McConnell's order to the USDA to pay full SNAP benefits to avert starvation. Because Jesus never said anything about feeding the hungry, did he? This reveals the true danger of the marriage between government and religion. It tarnishes both. It undermines the freedoms of democracy while subverting the values and priorities of true Christianity. It is the hallmark of failing nations. No country is Christian whose leaders gorge themselves at Great Gatsby golden tables while children go hungry. No country is Christian that employs masked villains to tear parents from their children and children from their parents, to tear asunder those whom God hath joined together. Christianity is not a title to be claimed, nor is it a weapon to be engaged for the destructions of others' liberties. Christianity is a way of life that raises up those of low degree, that has good news, not for the rich, selfish, and abusive few, but for the needing and hurting many.
Hi, my name's Erica and Sarah. And this week, I am not blessed with Medicare. So I self-pay for my medical insurance. And I was on the phone this week trying to sign up for health insurance for 2026. And the lady went through all of the different types and stuff. And I said, well, what if I keep the insurance that I have? And she said, oh, okay. Well, my health insurance for next year has tripled. So I'll be paying $1,000 a month just for the basics. Okay? So I said to the lady, wow, that's a lot of money. And she said, yeah, it is. And I said, how many others are going to be affected by the health care issue next year? And without a skip and a beat, that lady said 40 million. 40 million Americans will not have health care next year. So I said, well, do you have anything that's a little cheaper? And she said, yeah, I've got this insurance right here, and it's only $400 a month. But your copay, here we go. If I am put in the hospital, my copay would be $10,000 if I'm sent to the hospital. So, I mean, if this is happening to me, how many others? How many others? This is why, you know, the healthcare thing going on in Washington is such a big deal. So, I just wanted to share that. And good luck.
This is John Essex. A couple things on my mind. I'm blessed to be within earshot of some pretty smart people recently. Last Sunday, Emily Provence's talk about the life cycle of meetings, she brought up an important distinction about what she thinks of as outreach. What we do as outreach she calls service, and something that I've been thinking about is like awareness outreach. And that's what these are. So thank you so much for having these, because that's a step in the right direction, I think. I wrote a short article that'll be in the newsletter about awareness outreach in Fairfield, and hearing the announcements and news this week about SNAP benefits, thinking there's so many draws on our resources, and is this the right time to think about this stuff? And I was talking to my wife Laura about this morning, and she made a really great point, and I'd like to mention that. So I know it's too late now. I guess I can't sit down. She said we could give all of our resources to a food bank, and it would feed people for maybe a year, and we will not. And that whole time, we will not have siphoned off folks who go to big churches around us who don't agree with the theology there, who hear how to think and how to vote during that whole time. So I think awareness outreach is something that is especially important now, given the climate.
I'm Bill Hoops. Back in the 80s, I became involved with an organization called Bread for the World. Maybe some of you are familiar with that. Bread is an organization that grew out of a faith commitment, out of the Christian commitment, to saying as people of faith, we looked around the world and said, people going hungry is not in keeping with the kingdom of God. And Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a theologian during World War II who was martyred during the war, struggled with the idea, how can people of faith be involved in opposing Nazism? When the time came for him to be invited to join in the conspiracy to assassinate Hitler, as a person of faith and as a pastor, he struggled with that. He said, you know, we use the example in life of faith. If someone drives down the road and runs over a bunch of people and they're all lying in the street, we want to all run and respond and go out and help those people. But someone has to stand up and stop the driver of the truck. So he made his decisions. He followed the light as he saw it and so forth. And the same sort of motivation empowered or enlivened the people of Bread. And they're a means by which people of faith can organize themselves to put political pressure on members of Congress in a legitimate way, keeping the separation of church and state, but realizing that folks who are involved at that level have a systemic power to stop the driver. One of their success stories when I was involved with them, I was the Kentucky coordinator for Bread, was there was a piece of legislation involving WIC, the Women, Infants, and Children's Program. The administration kept pushing back, oh, we don't have the money, we can't do this, we can't do that. And Bread said, what if we find the money for you? And Congress said, go for it. So the folks at the office plowed through the federal government documents. If you want a cure for insomnia, just try that. And lo and behold, they found a line item in terms of the amount of money the Pentagon was paying to rent space for excess equipment, for excess furniture. Not equipment, furniture. Do the math, the add and subtraction. For the amount of money it took to pay for the furniture, the amount of money they were paying to store the furniture, they could fund the whole program. Lo and behold, Congress did. So as a means of hope, let me express to you that there is a way in which we can collectively become aware with outreach and education, be engaged in the political process, to raise our voices, to influence the systems, and stop the drivers.
all hearts and minds clear? Can we have volunteers to help with the distribution? While we sing hymn number 201 in the worship and song, Leaning on the Everlasting Arms.
Appreciated. Your comments about mindfulness made me think of a circumstance just this week. We all know people, don't we, who need help, and we hesitate to give them help because we think they're reckless and that they will take the resources we give them and not use them for good. And so we tell this to ourselves about a lot of people we meet. So this week I was meeting with a young woman, and she has, I knew she was on SNAP, and I said, how's your food? She has 3 of the most adorable daughters, 10, 4, and 2. And she said, well, we have a box of spaghetti. The kids eat at school and at their preschool. But at home, we just have spaghetti. That's what we have at night. And I felt this impulse, give them money. And then I felt this other impulse, don't. They won't spend it wisely. And then I got to thinking of the arrogance of that. As if I have spent every dollar ever entrusted to me wisely. I have 4 motorcycles. I have no business saying to myself, I shouldn't help them, they won't spend it wisely. So mindfulness. Joanne said, "What'd you do?" I said, "I gave him money." I just kept thinking about those 3 little girls. I just kept thinking about them, going to bed hungry. Now, here's the thing. Most of us here are smart, intelligent, capable people. We spend our whole lives anticipating a rainy day, so we saved, we invested, and now some of us are nearer the end of the life. Rex, you remind us of that. And we have all these resources. It's time to be mindful, to be acutely and keenly aware